I'm going to see if it will let me move on to another file. Now, this file I really, really want to talk about. In the news, it's being reported, at least by the administration currently, that over 275 undercover FBI agents were in the crowd for the infamous January 6th. I'm not saying that they were doing anything illegal. You can come up with your own summation. I'm reporting what's in the news right now, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on this because there have been a lot of misinformation perpetuated purposefully by both sides. Yaganti. So I didn't really realize that it wasn't illegal to, lie on TV as far as news reporters. Right? I thought that it was some kind of ethical sin or maybe some legal way that people could sue people for lying, but I'm coming to the conclusion that it's part of the political game, and it appears that who can tell the most untruth seems to be winning this information game. So it's being reported in the news that the FBI leader Kash Patel is clarifying the roles of hundreds of agents on J6, saying that Ray lied to Congress. The current FBI director Kash has said that the agents were sent to the Capitol for crowd control after it has been declared a riot. Now, exclusively, there have been response to these reports. And the FBI said Saturday in a report that 274 plainclothes agents were at the U.S. Capitol. The riot on J6 2021, clarifying the role to the Bureau, while still blasting former director Chris Wray. While the agents were on hand, they were sent after the riot had begun to try to control the unruly crowd, officials told the mainstream media. That is that proper role of the FBI agent, and Rain was not forthcoming about the happening when he testified numerous times on Capitol Hill. Director Kash said agents were sent in the crowd to control mission after the riot was declared to be too much for the Metro Police. Something that goes against FBI standards, Patel told the Fox Digital News. This was a failure of corrupt leadership and a lie to Congress and the American people about what really happened. He added, thanks to the agent coming forth, we are now uncovering the truth. This are fully committed in transparency and justice, accountability, continue with the FBI. Now, there were no incidents. Any FBI agents were involved in any event related to Trump's speech on the morning of J6. The ellipse. And FBI officials told mainstream media, adding that Ray should have disclosed that agents were there. And they were asked by congressional leaders. President Donald Trump cited in a report that the agents were cowards, which did not make it clear their mission. Said earlier that Ray has some major explaining to do. It was just revealed in the FBI secretly placed against all rules, regulation, protocols, standards of 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the J6 hoax. Trump wrote on a Truth Social post on Saturday afternoon following reports by Blaze revealing that the numbers of agents were there. Trump added that different from what Director Christopher Wray stated over and over again. That's right. And it's now turned out FBI agents were at the J6 protests, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcing officers. The president said he wanted to know that officers identified themselves, and he wants to know their identity and what were they doing at the Capitol. Like I said, I have a moth in here, and I think I finally got him, but I tried after him many times. Many great American patriots were made to pay big price only for the love of their country, he said, referring to Trump supporters who faced charges for their involvement in the J6 riot. Trump pardoned, commute, and the sentence of every person charged for involvement in the J6 riot after he took office this year. He concluded, I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them, Christopher Wray, and the director of FBI has some major explaining to do. That's two in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. We can never let this happen again. Never again. Citing a senior congressional source, that Blaze report said that the number of agents wasn't necessarily supposed because FBI often embedded counter-surveillance personnel in a large event. We told the House Committee on November 15, 2023, if you ask if the violence at the Capitol was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI source or agent, the answer is no. But we wouldn't disclose if any agents or sources were embedded within the crowd. Now, 274 agents also included those who were responding to the pipe BOMBs placed near the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee headquarters the night before J6, according to Politico. Trump nominated Wray as FBI director in 2017 after the firing of FBI Director James Comey, who was just indicted by the grand jury this week for allegedly making false statement to Congress. Imagine you being the president and being so infiltrated by your own nominees. Now I understand why Trump is so upset. Now, a report released last December by Justice Department Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz said, we found no evidence in the material testimony we received showing the suggested that the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowd or in the Capitol on J6, although he acknowledged there were 26 paid informants, but only 3 of them were assigned by the FBI to be there. The report also said that the FBI personnel were sent to the Capitol at the request of overwhelmed Capitol Police to help with crowd control. Horowitz said that none of the informants were allowed to incite the crowd, break the law, or enter the U.S. Capitol. In the reporting, Blaze noted that there were many who have been confusing regarding plainclothes and undercover, meaning both the Inspector General and FBI told the truth. Many of the agents were happy to have been sent to the Capitol to do crowd control. Another official told the Fox Digital News it was a chaotic scene with no pre-plan that contradicted the agent's original plan to not get involved in the event. The officials said that agents were not trained to do crowd control. The first agent arrived at the Capitol around 2:30 p.m. There is no evidence there were any sign of riot. The agents continued to arrive after the officials said. Ray had testified before Congress prior to the inspection general reported being released in December, but Patel called out Ray for deflecting and giving the DC answer when pressed by lawmaker. Why it took a ton of time and question in Congress for the director to get to the point is what I'm trying to eliminate from the FBI, Patel said. If Congress asks you a question on the oath, whether or not there were sources in the or around January 6th and the Capitol, you should have just said yes or no, not deflect and give the DC answer. You have to be prepared for that, Patel said. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I personally had long believed that it was a political move, a political strategy by the Democrat Party to try to nail down the president of the United States on the one charge that they thought that they could get him on that could prevent him from being re-elected, because they were afraid of him coming back into power and doing to them what they were doing to him, or even exposing the dirtiness that they have or were hiding, meaning the weaponization of the United States FBI, CIA, and other organization, whether it's the USAID or whether it's other soft power democratic organizations such as fake news CNN, MSNBC, and all these left-wing democratic propaganda agency. But one thing I could tell you, just by the way I speak, you know that I'm a conservative mind. Yeah, and most island people, most foreigners are, but because of the bullying tactics of the Democrats, because they own the media, yeah, and they own certain BLK crowd, yeah, a lot of people are scared to speak the truth. So as I showed to you, I told you, I stayed off the internet for a while. I've been hopping in and out in TikTok lives, and I'm not sure, if, you have seen my channel on YouTube or on TikTok. I'm asking you just go ahead and follow, subscribe, share up the content. If you're on TikTok right now, listen to what I'm saying. If you could hear me good, just chill out for a second. I'm just going to do a few more reports. Then I'm going to see if I could interact, because I have no idea how to do that. You're Agantee, so I'm just learning again. Now, I wanted to speak of,